Good morning. Hello, everybody. I am Sallie Holder. I am excited to be joining you guys live from home from the screen porch. I'm trying to figure out the best location for this so that the wind is not too much in my face and you can all hear me. So I'll sit for a minute and let some people join us. Okay, sitting might be easier. I will let some people join us and then we will get started with my hair. You can't join these things and not be a little self-conscious about the way you look, man. Uh, but happy Monday. This group is intended to be a place for you to get some joy to start out your week for sure, but hopefully a great place for you to get some free content. As many of you know, but for those who don't, I'm a business coach, and I have been coaching female entrepreneurs for more than 15 years, helping them increase both their profits and their revenue. And so there has never been a more critical time to be able to help women stay in business, which is one of the things I'm really most passionate about, is helping more women own their own businesses and really thrive. So this is a time where we can thrive and not just try to survive. And so I wanted to make sure that I brought all of you guys tips on just exactly how to do that, how to thrive during this time and not just survive. So we're going to talk today about some momentum generators, but this group is open, so if you know other women who are female entrepreneurs, feel free to invite them. The more the merrier. The more we create this sense of community together, the better we are. Good morning, Robin. Hello, Susan and Brittany. I'm so excited so many of you are here joining me live. I'm going to do a fun giveaway at the end, so stay tuned to the end of it. If you join me on these lives, I'll be doing giveaways just to make them even better, because I've been a female entrepreneur working from home myself. I know that sometimes we can put these things off and say, hey, I'll get to it later, I'll listen later, and then later becomes never. So when you do a little fun incentive to say, jump on here live, then it's really, in the end, better for you and not just me. So, okay. So now that we have a few of the logistics out of the way, let's go. Yes, Gina, if you hear this, I can see that there are a few people texting me saying that they want to jump in the group. So I will let you. Gina is the master of all things in my coaching company, and you will get to know her well. She is our director of operations, and she's amazing. Okay, so I am going to get us started talking about the momentum generator. So let me just move this over for just a second. Here we go. Okay. Now, one of the ways to keep momentum going is to constantly have greater goals. So one of the things that I really want to challenge all of you to think about right now is, how many of you have set a goal of what you would like to achieve by the conclusion of this? And what I'm telling most female entrepreneurs, and I know this might scare a lot of you right now, is plan that the entirety of this thing will conclude in 6 months. That gives you enough of a place to really focus on, because lack of clarity really breeds confusion, right? A lack of clarity breeds confusion. So one thing that we really want to begin with is really stating what our goals are. And if I'm thinking forward 6 months from now, right? And even if we are well out of this by then, there will still be ramifications on the economy. So I want you to have a goal of whatever it is that you want to have achieved by the conclusion of this 6-month period. Take a minute and write that down. Make sure that you have it noted, and feel free to share it in this group, right? This is a community. So if you already know what that goal is for the conclusion of the next 6 months, share it with us. Or after this is over, feel free, if you're watching this on the replay, to share it in the comments in the group as well. So the first momentum builder is to be able to state very clearly what a goal is. It is going to give you some clarity. And again, that helps eliminate confusion. Okay, so the first real momentum generator, because that's not even counting as number one for me. I've got so many of them to be able to share with you guys in just this short period. I want to try to always keep these to 45 minutes because I want them to be bite-sized enough that you can watch them back. So they will be on the Facebook Live. They will be in this group, so you can come back and watch them over again if need be. Okay, so the real momentum generator, number one, is claiming your achievements. That is one of the best momentum generators that you can possibly have. So I'm going to ask all of you, how many of you are good at claiming your achievements? I don't think I'm going to see any hands raised right there. Because one of the biggest things that I constantly find, especially with female entrepreneurs, is that they are very concerned about claiming achievements because they are worried about what other people will think of them, especially in this time, right? More female entrepreneurs are leaning out during this time than ever because they are worried about the perspective of others. I constantly tell people we have no control over what other people think of us. We didn't before this pandemic, and we certainly don't now. So why lean out of claiming your achievements? Who does that help? Right? I'm always asking that question. Who does that help? Does it actually help anyone else in the pandemic for you not to claim your achievements? Does it help grow the economy in any particular way? No. See, two reasons generally arise why people don't is they say something like, if I have to act like that blowhard person that I know, right, then I am not going, I'd just rather be ignored. I don't want to behave like that. I don't want to be that jerk. Well, I get you. I hear you. But at the same time, that is one end of the spectrum. Right? That is one end. You do not have to act like that. You do not have to be a 10 on the scale of 0 to 10 on claiming your achievements. You don't have to say, I'm the best, most amazing person in the whole world. But, right, you can fall somewhere in the middle of saying that you're proud of what you're doing right now, or you're proud of the way that you're handling this, right? And you can give a sense of hope and light to other female entrepreneurs who are going through this as well, right? You can pull the scale back to 5. You can act somewhere in the middle and make sure that you still claim the achievements right now. I'm thinking through one female entrepreneur I've worked with for a long time, and she is getting ready to open an amazing full service spa later this summer, right? She ought to be leaning into claiming that achievement right now. The fact that she's a female entrepreneur that bought a building that is upping her game, right? There is no reason why you should be ashamed of claiming that achievement right now. It doesn't help anyone. The second reason is most people will say, I believe great work speaks for itself, right? Well, we already know that that's one of a momentum killer, is expecting other people to notice your work. It has been proven to be a momentum killer. If you sit back and you try to wait for someone else, right, to notice you, right, to notice the hard work that you're putting in, especially in a time like this. Think about it. People have too many other distractions. They have too many other things going on, and they are not looking out for the hard work that you're putting in. You have to claim that in a positive, worthwhile way. Right? A 5 on the 0 to 10 scale, somewhere in the middle, to show them, right, that you are worthy of their attention. Otherwise, they are not going to spontaneously decide that you are the person or the business that they need to give their attention to. So you need to claim your achievements more than ever. And I feel like those that are leaning out are missing the boat. Right? They are missing the opportunity to capture the audience that they have in front of them right now that is larger than it's ever been. right? People are home and watching social media longer. And I got a notification of my screen time, and it was quite shocking. So I can say that I've been on it way more, and I've been working harder than ever. So lean in, claim your achievements. You're good at what you do. You were before this. That has not changed. Just because we have had this global pandemic does not mean that you are not great at what you do or you don't have amazing accomplishments, right? It does not help if you lean out. There is no one that is benefiting from that. The only thing that ends up happening is that you are losing. Okay, so number 2. This is so critical during this particular time as well, because we can fall into a rabbit hole. And that's what I'm talking about practicing the 80-20 production versus consumption rule. So what I mean by this is for every hour you spend consuming, which is reading, watching, even listening to me, you should spend at least 4 hours producing. This means that you need to spend fewer time consuming everything, right? Consuming news, consuming information about the pandemic, consuming information about the economy and where it's headed, right? That consumption is not also going to help you. What ends up helping you as an entrepreneur right now is production. And no matter what business you're in at the moment, there is a way for you to produce, right? I want you to think about ways that you can produce in this particular time, right? It can be producing content, right? It can be producing blog posts, videos, live webinars, live streams of your product, right? Live demonstrations, creating a Facebook group, right? That you can do a Zoom with your clients. There are so many ways that you can get into production. But so many of us right now spend our time consuming. What my personal rule of thumb has been is I'm using the weekends to consume, right? I read 2 books this weekend. Lots of time on our hands. So use the weekends to consume and try to use your work week as your time to produce, right? So the rule of thumb is 80% of your time should be spent on production, 20% of it on consumption. Again, during this period of time, it is so easy to fall into the rabbit hole of consumption, right? And be reading every email, everything that goes on. But I ask you, does that create momentum towards your bottom line? Does consumption create momentum for you? Likely not, right? Likely not. What does is producing something that people can consume, other people can consume because they haven't taken this, right? They haven't been watching our Facebook Live, but that other people can consume so that they can understand your product better and that they can take advantage of whatever offer it is that you are giving at the end of that production, right? So at whatever end of whatever live webinar you've done or whatever training, there is going to be an offer so that they can participate and help create revenue for you. So we want to produce, but we also want to produce in a way that concludes with an offer, right? Not just production for the sake of production. So I want to make that very, very clear as well. I've talked to many female entrepreneurs that are saying, I'm just going to do X, Y, or Z, right? So I'm just going to write a blog post and just stick it out there. That's great. But we also want to make sure that that production is driving profits. And the best way to do that is to make sure that that production leads your client down the next step towards your next offer so that they are going to engage with you and there is a well thought out process. So they are going to have a next step that you want them to take and maybe a next one. And then there is an offer out there for them to be able to participate in some revenue generating activity for you. Okay? I wish we had all the time in the world. We'll go into revenue generating activities, I'm sure, in another Facebook Live. So we can talk much more detail about those. Okay. The third momentum generator, right, is having a clear and concise message of what it is that you do. I know that so many of you are going to be like, what in the world are you talking about? How is this a momentum generator? Well, to me, this is a huge momentum generator because what has to be given to your clients is a very simple yet understandable message about what you do. Right? Mine is I help women make more money. Clear, concise. Any female entrepreneur out there that's saying to themselves, you know what? I need to make more money during this time. I need to generate income. They know where to turn. Right? They don't have to ask the question, where would I go? What does she do? Right? So, I want to ask the same question of you. Are you putting that clear and concise message out there to your clients? Do they know right now, if they were to go to your social media page, do they know what you do? Do they know what your offers are? Do you present it in a clear way, just as if you were to run into them in the grocery store, which might be the only place where you would run into someone these days. But if you were to see them and they were to ask you, what do you do? In 4 or 5 words or less, what would you say to them? And take that moment to write that down. If you have not stated that very clearly, it is a fantastic way to generate momentum, right? Because you are clearing out the noise that the rest of the people are having to sift through to figure out what everyone else does. And you're making it super clear to your audience, this is what I do, this is how I can help. This is the problem that I solve. Or if you don't know, right, where it is that you're headed, right, that's okay. If you're on here and because you're a female entrepreneur and you're trying to generate new revenue and a new revenue stream or whatever, then just simply ask yourself, what is the problem that I want to solve? Right? And you can write that answer down. And then if you know the problem that you want to solve, then you can come up with an idea of exactly how you're going to communicate that to your clients. And then the last part of the clear and concise message you're going to state is why you're qualified to be the problem solver. Right? Now, why I'm qualified to be the problem solver for all of you is not only did I serve as a labor and employment lawyer for 10 years, helping employers deal with the employer-employee relationship, but I also served as a chief operating officer for 6 different companies in 6 different industries, all focused on increasing their revenue, and did so very successfully. And I've also been you, right? I've been you starting a business myself, being the female entrepreneur, trying to wade my way through all of this and figure out exactly how to achieve it. Right? And I've now figured out a roadmap that works. And so I want to be the one to share it with you. So be clear about why you're qualified to do what you do. So having this clear and concise message, right? And having what you do, the problem you solve, and why you're qualified to do what you do, shared very concisely on your social media, with the clients that you work with, either via email, is going to create more momentum for you because they are going to know how to interact with you during this time. That is a momentum generator. They will now be able to sift through that noise and say, oh, okay, right? Robin is the woman that I need to go to for X, Y, or Z. Okay. Now, the next momentum generator is that we want to take daily actions towards our goals. I know. These are so simple. They are. But that's also what makes them so effective. So what we want to do is make it a point to take action towards accomplishing your goal, the one that we set out in the beginning, every single day. It doesn't have to be big, right? At all. So I want you to ask yourself, what little tasks can I do each day for the next 30 days to accelerate my progress towards my goal? That's your only question. See, all too often what I find is that too many female entrepreneurs, we will take daily action, but all we're doing is checking things off a to-do list. All we're doing is responding to everyone else's fires. All we're doing is responding to emails. Those are someone else's problems. Those are someone else's ideas of priorities, and they are not ours. What we have got to do is take daily actions towards our priorities, our goals. So if you have that big goal set out and you have stated at the end of this 6 months, this is what I want to achieve, I guarantee you that you can work your way backwards through from that bigger goal, and you can ask yourself, okay, what are the smaller goals that are going to support the growth of that bigger goal, right? If I want to generate revenue at the conclusion of this of $100,000 over the course of the next 6 months, see, I talk big numbers because that's what you're capable of doing. Over the next 6 months, if I want to achieve $100,000 in revenue, right, what are the things that I need to do? What are the things that drive revenue in my business, right? I have 3 areas that drive revenue in my business. Write those 3 areas out. They may be providing, sales of a product. It may be providing consultations, and it may be providing, a wholesale arm. Who knows? I want you to then think through, okay, well, what are the actions that drive those 3 areas of revenue? What are the things that really get people to engage and purchase the product or engage and participate? Ask yourself that question, and then I want you to write down the tasks that you can do each day for the next 30 days to accelerate your progress. Take the time to do that. And again, if you have to come back and watch this again to go through it and write those daily actions out, that's totally fine. Just make a note that this is something that can generate momentum for you. Because I want you focused on the momentum generators, not the momentum killers. Things like worry, concern, right? Focusing on other people's problems. Those are all momentum killers. Instead, or just wasting your time on producing things that have no ultimate plan to produce revenue. That is a momentum killer. We want to focus on the things daily and the actions that you can take that are going to progress your goal and accelerate it. Accelerate your goal, not someone else's. Okay, now, see, if you're sick of living a cluttered life, for example, this is a good example of how you can take daily action. So you could identify 30 small cleaning projects for each day of the next month. I'm sure so many of you have done this already. Day 1, maybe you'll organize the kitchen cabinets. Day 2, you'll clean out the fridge. Day 3, you'll finish any other cleaning, dusting the kitchen space that you need. See, you'll repeat this with all of the spaces in your home until it's clean. It can be rewarding and energizing, right? To no longer have that clutter in your space. So that's just a really good example of something that is evidence of taking daily action, right? It's not revenue generating. It has to do with the personal aspect of your life. But I wanted to give you that example so that you can say, okay, well, I understand what you're talking about with regard to daily action now. Maybe now I can say, okay, in day 1, I'm going to, right, if I have this bigger goal, write a blog post. Day 2, I'm going to make sure that I understand exactly how to get that message out there to as many people, that clear and concise message out to as many people as possible. Day 3, I'm going to make sure that there's an offer that's generated. Day 4, I'm going to send that offer out to everyone else. Day 5, I'm going to follow up on that offer. You see, daily actions. Okay. See, success doesn't come from taking the initiative and following up. Or, I'm sorry, success comes from taking the initiative and following up and persisting. What simple action you could take today to produce, what simple action can you take today to produce a new momentum towards success in your life? That is the bigger question. Okay. Now, the final thing is that we want to celebrate the little wins every day. You have to make it a point to celebrate one win each day. All right. So, some days when I was in sales, I would mention, I would celebrate how many pitches I sent out or how many contacts I called. You know, every day I would write down my accomplishments to literally build a positive wall of encouragement and feedback around me. Seeing that wall growing was inspiring, and it helped me stay motivated too. So imagine if you each day were to celebrate your wins. And even if there were a small sector of your home, right, around your desk or just around your computer where you wrote down the small accomplishments that you had, right, no matter how big or how small, right? Maybe your one accomplishment today is participating in this. Maybe your one accomplishment is growing your understanding of how you're going to start focusing on momentum again instead of focusing on clutter and distraction or confusion. Maybe your one accomplishment today is coming up with that greater goal that you're going to really focus your time and energy on over the course of the next 6 months, right? But the point is that you have got to celebrate you, especially during this time. It has never been more important to celebrate these smaller wins every day. Because when you do that, it makes you want to come back. It makes you want to come back to the table and go for it again. Right? And we have to be so self-motivated in these times. And doing that is one of the best ways to keep yourself on track and motivated. So I want to make sure that you take the time to celebrate your own wins. Okay. Now, let me go back to one more thing about celebrating your own wins too. You know, I used to do this forever ago. But I got my family involved in some of the goals. And why not do this during this particular time too, right? You know, it's never been more important, especially as a female entrepreneur, to pull in your family into their understanding of how your success plays a critical role in the family's success. So I've been communicating with my kids every day on why I need to separate myself, why I need to take time to do this. And so what I would do is I would let them know what my goal is. And I would say, while you're doing your schoolwork and you're holding yourself accountable, I am going to hold myself accountable, and I want your help. I want your help because I want you to hold me accountable to this particular task today, to this action that I'm excited about moving forward. So instead of them seeing it as a negative that you're participating in your business, they're seeing it as a positive. They're looking at you and saying they're proud of you, they're excited, and they can't wait to hear whether or not you accomplished your goal. So bring your family in on the action. Let them know what the small tasks are that you want to accomplish each day. And let them know that you're excited about creating the space and the time that you need to accomplish those. And then let them be in on the celebration, right, of you doing that, right? Let them know once you finish the project or that you're excited about it, you're going to take a bike ride or that you're going to play a card game, right? And so they are just as engaged and excited about the work that you're doing as you are. It is so important to let them in on that, and it will give them some attachment and you a little bit more accountability to doing the actions that you said are important to the movement of your business, rather than using the time, right, to do the things that we can so often find ourselves doing, right? Cleaning out our inbox, right? Even, responding to some emails, falling into the trap of doing laundry, all the things that can distract us. Instead, now you'll be that much more motivated to finish the goal that you set out for the day. Okay. One last little bonus momentum generator that I really wanted to share with all of you guys is I want you to finally set aside some time to think deeply and strategize. This is so important, right? You have to think deeply about where it is that you're going. Otherwise, we just take action without thought. And most of the time, the actions that we take without thought end up just being some of those actions that are just on our to-do list. They aren't momentum generators, right? So we want to make sure that before we just jump into action each day, before we're just running in a direction that so many people say, oh, just get into action. And I'm always telling the women that I coach, hey, let's actually give some thought to make sure that those are the right actions. Because our time is limited and it is valuable. So we want to make sure they're the actions that generate momentum. And now you know that they are the actions that will generate momentum if they are the actions that further the growth of your goal. If they are the actions that accelerate progress towards your goal. If they are the actions that you have already decided and strategically noted are part of the daily actions that you've laid out, think about how much time you can capture back if each day you already have, even if you can only strategize for the next 10 days, do that, right? The next 10 days, map out what are the strategic things that you can do that are accelerating your progress towards that bigger goal. Think how much time you capture back. When you sit down to get to work, you simply jump into working on those strategic goals. You're not asking yourself each and every day, gosh, what should I be working on? What should I be doing? Should I turn left? Should I turn right? Right? You have direction. So that direction is going to help fuel your motivation instead of exhausting you simply when you sit down to get to work. It is exhausting to have to go through that process every single time when you sit down, right, to your computer and say, where do I start? How do I begin again? Right? Simply that process of going through that thought is draining. So we want to make sure that you take the time to think deeply now and strategize it out. Write down your goal and then brainstorm the ideas that you need to achieve it. And I always say when you're doing this strategy work, when you're doing this deeper work, no idea is a dumb idea. Because if you're trying to sift and sort through ideas in your brain and decide whether or not they're good or bad, right, most often then we're making assumptions about our business, and you don't need to make assumptions right now. You just need to get the information out and onto a piece of paper. So no idea is a bad idea. Just think freely and unconventionally and write down every idea you possibly have. Then after you do that, then you can go back and say, do these accelerate progress towards my goal? Do they help move me closer to it? Can I tie it very strategically to the creation of progress to my goal? Or is it so amorphous that I really have no connection to it, that I'm not sure whether or not it'll take me to my goal or not? Then that might be an action that you set aside. And you say, until I can figure out how it strategically takes me closer, I'm not going to dub it a bad idea. I'm just going to set it aside. And so you have a list of ideas to be able to come back to, because that one might fit in later. It just may not fit in right now. See, it's not necessarily good or bad. So write them down. Put them all on a piece of paper. Then you can come back to them and put them in order, right, of how they can take you towards that path, towards progress. So this regrouping and refocusing is such a momentum builder. You can do it as often as you need to, right? It doesn't have to be a one and done thing. And it could be just the best starting place for you right now. So I want to go back and just quickly recap what the momentum builders were. So first, we're going to start with creating that bigger goal that you want to have at the conclusion of this 6 months. Where is it that you want to land? Number 2, gosh, I really gave you 7 momentum builders, to be honest. Number 2, claim your achievements. I want you to lean into claiming what it is that you do well, right? Each time you have success during this time where you're setting out these goals and you're making progress and you're accelerating towards your bigger goal, claim that achievement. Lean into that. Practice 80-20 production versus consumption. Remember, spend your time consuming in times, in the evenings and weekends. But during your work hours, you're going to be practicing production because it's the production that accelerates your goal. It's generally not the consumption. You are going to clarify your message and have a clear and concise message about what it is that you do, the problem that you solve, and why you are qualified to be the problem solver for your audience, right? That is going to be a momentum generator because now they're going to know to turn to you. You're going to take daily action. Daily action, right? Momentum is not created by a one and done, right? One day we worked really hard and then we set everything aside. It is created by the small steps we take towards accomplishing the goal every single day. And then you're going to celebrate the wins when you take the action, whether you do it alone, with yourself, within your team. If you're managing a team, make sure. I've been saying to larger companies that I coach that have teams of 20 and 30 people, try implementing something like pulling everyone together on a Zoom at the conclusion of the workday and celebrating the wins that each of them have had, right? That is something that can be very monumental in helping them continue having the momentum that they need to have, right? Momentum can very well, right, be a feeling of engagement as well. And then the last is regroup and refocus, right? Make sure that you're constantly coming back to that time to think deeply and strategize so that you're not simply jumping into action willy-nilly, but you're making sure that you're taking the steps that are really going to accelerate the progress that you need to have towards your goals. So I wasn't able to see your comments, but I'm going to scroll through really quickly and look at some of the comments. Wow, this is so great. There are so many awesome comments. Okay. I forget about my achievements. Yes. It's hard to say I'm doing well when so many are struggling, right? And I understand that. I completely understand what you're saying. But does you saying you're struggling also help those who are struggling to get out of, right, to feel that sense that they can get out of this, to feel a sense that they are going to make it through as well, right? Does jumping on the bandwagon or being completely silent contribute to growth, right? I heard someone say recently that you can either be part of the recovery or you can be part of the recession. And that is so true. And what we're going to need is leaders who are doing well to continue to indicate that they are, right? Again, spectrum 2. Remember that as you're sharing with others that you are doing okay, right? that you don't have to be a 10 on the scale. You don't have to be out there, saying, I'm the best person in the whole wide world. I've got so much money in the bank. Everything's perfect, right? That's a 10. But you can be a 5 on that scale to say that you're continuing business. You're maintaining a positive attitude, right? You are continuing to do the work that you know and love so that you can maintain, the growth in your business and that you're not going to give up. Those are great ways to show people who are struggling that they can keep doing the same, right? You're shining a light. You're being a positive light in the midst of, what can be dark times for other people, to showing them what's possible. So I just constantly point to the fact that no one gains by us dimming our light. There is nothing that benefits. I can't think of anything that benefits by saying lean out, right? Except for, right, other people feeling that you are struggling too. And that's not helpful. What they need to know is that everything's going to be okay. And you saying, I'm going to be okay, and I'm staying strong, and I'm doing this, and I'm making it, is showing other people exactly strength. And that's what they need. Yes. 2 fantastic books to help getting your message clarified. Couldn't agree more. Karen Weaver shared Building a Story Brand and Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller. I totally agree. 2 fantastic books for clarifying your message. I have read both of those. Actually, Marketing Made Simple, I think, is his newest one, and so I don't think I've read that. I've read Building a Story Brand actually multiple times. Such a good one. Consume that this weekend. Order it on Amazon Prime, and you can read it this weekend. What is your elevator speech when someone asks, what do you do? Would love to hear the aspects broken down into your message. My elevator speech, again, is short and simple. I think I shared it a little while ago, which is I help female entrepreneurs make more money. I keep it very simple. On the Donald Miller, theory that if you confuse, you lose. So I listen to his podcast all the time and absolutely, completely agree. If you confuse, you lose. I'm very clear in that very simple statement about who my audience is, who I work with, what I'm very much focused on, that I'm focused on business and not necessarily, obviously you have to incorporate some personal, but I'm very much focused on business and not just being, a life coach. I work on their businesses and help them get those in order. I'm very much focused on tactical things. I think that that's indicated. So you can write down a list of all of the things that you really want to communicate in your elevator speech and ask yourself the question, are these communicated in the very simple terms? And what I think you'll end up finding is what I did as well, which is when I wrote everything down, I found a couple of terms that really, were repeated over and over again. And so it was those terms that I decided, okay, if I can squeeze those down a little bit and just focus on clarifying my message, on what all categories, what larger categories do all of these terms have to do with, then I would realize that they all really had to do with helping female business owners become more profitable. Not only increasing revenue, but definitely increasing profits. Two very different things. Hi, Mary Varner. Hello. Love that. Accelerate my goal. Yes. Exactly. Added bonus. You're teaching your kids entrepreneurship. I know exactly. I want them to know that. And what was the book you read multiple times? It is Building a Story Brand. Karen's got you. Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I have read that multiple times. If creating clarity within your message right now is what it is, the part of this momentum that you really feel like that's what I need to do, that is a fantastic book to read on there. Okay. So in keeping with my 45 minutes, we have 1 minute left. I'm going to do a fun giveaway. So, for anybody who joins me live, you can pick a number. It looks like we have 7 people live right now. So pick a number 1 through 7 and put it in the comments, and the person who chose my number will win. And what is the giveaway, you might ask? The giveaway today is, I hope that the person doesn't have it, because if they do, they can just give it away to someone else. The giveaway today is one of my books. Yay! One of my books. I only have one, but it is my book, Hitting Rock Middle. So I am going to give you a copy of that. It does lay out a lot of these momentum generators, which is why I thought this would be a great book for someone to read if you have not read it. The amazing, wonderful outpouring of support lately as these times have been going on has been incredible. So, people have been saying over and over that it has helped them tremendously. So I thought, well, that is the perfect thing. Oh my gosh, no, 2 of you chose the number. I better send out 2 books then. And that is number 7. If you know me, that is my lucky number. That's my favorite number. So Karen Weaver, Robin Mooney, you will both get a copy of my book. Or, Karen, I know that you have it, so you can pick another female entrepreneur that you would like me to send it to, and I am happy to do that. Or, same thing with you, Robin. I don't know if you have it or not, so you can just message me and let me know. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. It is going to live in this Facebook group. So if there are other female entrepreneurs that need this, please invite them. Invite them to this group. I want to be a resource for all of them. There are a lot of other freebies that I have coming. And I think that you are going to, find a lot of really good information in here. So, I would challenge each of you to find 3 other female entrepreneurs. 3. You can all do that just as a, way to help other women out there find 3 other female entrepreneurs that you want to invite to this group. And let's get them invited and in here so that they can hear the content as well. It's the best gift you can give them now. So thank you, ladies. Have a great, great day. I appreciate your time. And go create some momentum in your business. Bye.